Hey kids, what is happening? I'm starting a few minutes early. I was ready and here we are. Happy Sunday. I hope everybody has their coffee and ready to get back into the smiley face killer. And we're also actually, after we finish the video that we were watching yesterday. Hey, Mark, my little brother's here. Hi, baby. It's good to see you. Um, After we get through what we were doing last week, which was, I think, the we'll get there. We're going to go over the Process Church. Our friend of the show, Standing Stones, who I call Rozzy, he has sent me some videos, and it seems like everything's connected, which is wild, right? Like all of these things are connected and no one's putting pieces together. But you know what? We're here on Sunday mornings to put pieces together, and we are speculation station because we have opinions and we want to solve these cases. Oh, Bad Dazzler. Hey, baby. It's good to see you. I'm always in chats with you, and I'm so happy that you're here with us this morning. We do unsolved cases and we speculate. That's what we do. We are on part 3 of the smiley face killers. And so we're here on, I hope everyone has had a great weekend. Who else is here? We're still having people rolling in. And I'm going to give it a few minutes before we start so that people who have been here and want to be here to see this get a chance, because I started a little bit early. I've been sitting here like I may as well just start. I have 7 minutes. Mark, what's happening? Happy Sunday. Bad Dazzler, how was your weekends? I want to know. Let me see here. Let's see. I just have to look at some stuff. If you are here on the stream, please say hi in the chat. I'd love to know who's here. We are, like I said, so apparently the smiley face killers and other murderers are all connected to a thing called the Process Church. I have done a little bit of deep dive into them, and it is really fucked up. I have a video that we're going to watch, and it is going to be eye-opening. The smiley face killers, I've said it before, I only knew the ones that were in Boston, right? Of all these boys who were going missing, leaving bars alone and ending up by like the Charles River and dead. And no, they were like, oh, accidental drowning. Bullshit. I don't believe that. Bad Dazzler, let's see. What do you say? Unsolved was not long enough. Yeah. How my weekend has been okay. My weekend's been okay. I had a really tough week the past couple weeks, but I'm feeling good today, and I'm here, and I'm so happy to be with all of you. I've been with Dylan all week in chat watching those trials, which have been bizarre. I mean, can we just talk about the one with the grinder and the sex apartment and the AA and the all of that? Like, can we just like that trial's wild. And I'm here for it. Hi, my beautiful Natalie. Thank you for being here. I love you, girlfriend. I love you. Yeah, right? It's that shit's wild. Like this happens around us. People are bizarre in this world, and like the more you're into true crime, the more wild these cases become. I mean, a lot of them are very sad, especially when you're not like privy to like the badness in the world. Unfortunately, or fortunately, because I've been into true crime for so long, I know the bad in the world, and it fascinates me because you're like, we live among these people, right? we live among these people, and when they get caught, like that grinder trial really. Oh, and kids, look I went to Spirit Halloween with my kids last night, and I got myself a Halloween mug. Well, I'll show you. It's full, but I just want to show you the other side. It says "Slay all day." I love it. It's probably my favorite mug right now, and I'm gonna drink until Christmas with it. I love it. So with that being said, we are gonna finish what we were doing last week, which was the truth about the smiley face killer. And these guys are excellent. These guys are absolutely excellent. And they try to be in the middle, right? They're not trying to pick a side. But sometimes when you're looking at these cases, it's hard not to pick a side because you're just like, there's so much evidence. And they call it a conspiracy theory. But is it a conspiracy theory, or is it just law enforcement not wanting to piece the pieces together because of laziness, because they don't want the public to fear? There's so many reasons why law enforcement won't put all of these cases together. But you know what? We're here for Speculation Station, and we are going to pick these cases apart and figure out why they are unsolved. That's how I feel. Like, I'm no cop, I'm no doctor, I'm no lawyer. I'm just a girl on the internet with a lot of opinions and a lot of like what the fuck attitude. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start this up. 1 minute.
Quick. Some of it's repeating information, but I just wanted to put like what's officially been put out there, because I think it kind of puts to rest a lot of the rumors and speculation that was going on. It got pretty wild out there. But they said the Riley Strain autopsy report released today by the medical examiner, which found that the 22-year-old died as a result of accidental drowning. The investigation conducted by the Emerson detectives. The police department is now officially classifying Strain's death as accidental. The MNPD's investigation found that Strain consumed multiple alcoholic drinks at different establishments after arriving in Nashville with friends on March 8th. The investigation found that he had become separated from his friends and was noticeably impaired as he walked onto Gay Street adjacent to the Cumberland River on the night of March 8th. Detectives have concluded that Strain, who is unfamiliar with Gay Street and the steep embankment leading to the river, did not realize the terrain conditions in the darkness as he stepped toward the overgrown area and fell down the embankment into the water. Due to the recent rain, the river was very high that night with a swift current, and Strain's body was found in the river in West Nashville on the morning of March 22nd, several miles from Gay Street. The MNPD continues to extend its heartfelt condolences to Riley Strain's family and friends. So when you kind of hear that, I mean, all that seems very plausible to me, right? I mean, when you're intoxicated, I know there's been several times throughout my life where I've done highly questionable things and put myself in danger without even really realizing in the moment, because you're just, you feel good, you're having a good time, and it kind of puts you, it just puts you in a different headspace, and you could easily fall down an embankment, especially in an area 100%. You're not familiar with too.
Oh, yeah. Especially, growing up and living in Michigan for so long.
I'm just going to pause that right here. I truly believe that so Riley Strain, I followed that case from day one. It fits the profile of the smiley face killer. Okay, it just does. This boy went missing. He was drunk. They said he fell into an embankment, but this is what they've been saying about all of these guys. All of them. And if it is a group of people, this boy was walking drunk down the street, disappeared, and wasn't found for what, 2 weeks? And he wasn't bloated like he would be if he was in the water for that long. I just have questions about them saying like, "Oh, he was just drunk, didn't know where he was, and fell in an embankment." I followed a lot of YouTubers who have been down to Tennessee, and it's really not that easy to fall into the fucking embankment where he was supposedly found or fell or whatever. So I have questions. Oh my goodness. We have Rob. Hi, Rob. It's good to see you, honey. And we have Sean, our Lord Pissa is in the house. Obviously, our Natalie and my girl dog mom is here. Thanks for being here. And Rosie, do you notice what I have displayed? I love it. You guys. Yeah, he disappeared near the water. He left the that Country Stars bar, and he was let out by the security, and he left alone and didn't know where he was. But the whole thing about it is it fits the fucking MO of the smiley face killers. So don't insult our intelligence by saying that like, oh, he was a young kid. I'm sure even I've been shit-faced, drunk, and I've been swimming, and like I didn't have I didn't die. I didn't drown. I didn't, I've gone to lakes. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that it can't happen, but the Riley Strain case is so similar to the other killings, the other people found just like him. Make it make sense. Oh, hi, Danny. It's so good to see you, baby. Oh my God, you got back from your first half marathon? You go, girl. You go with your bad self. The thing is, being alone and drunk, it all fits. Exactly, Rob. Preach it. Preach it, girl. Boy. You're a boy, Rob. I'm sorry. I'm just so used to saying girl. You go, boy. All right, I'm gonna get back to it. Let's switch this over. Okay. I'm new here, guys. I'm new here.
Well, it's like, yeah, you want to go to the water and hang out. It's like a very nice place. And there's tons of rivers and bodies of water there. And that's where accidents happen, It's just Mother Nature is not very merciful at times.
Yeah, it's I mean, this is truly sad, and all these cases are sad, and
Yeah.
I feel deeply for these families. And obviously, if you feel like something else may have happened, or there might be others involved in some way, I totally understand why, especially as a parent, you would want to at least look into them.
Agreed. Yeah.
And try to figure out if the police missed anything, because at this point,
Right.
I think
Bye,
in
Zach.
so many
Love
cases
you.
that we've covered across the years, like, it's hard to trust police. It's
Yeah.
hard to trust that they did a thorough job, and
Yeah.
you do have to conduct your own investigation.
I love what
And
they
even
just
with these
said.
cases, we're covering right here. We're seeing that it's a homicide when it wasn't, when they were so quick to just write it off as an accidental drowning.
So I totally understand. I just think
Yeah.
I think it's unfortunate that oftentimes the internet runs wild, and which just drums up lots of misinformation, and bad leads that get reported, and just kind of sends these PIs that often work with these families on wild goose chases, and it makes it even harder to really get to the truth.
And I think Kevin and his team are also a bit guilty of that as well, not just the internet, but I think they kind of started this mess to some degree, even though I think there have been very positive things that come out of this.
Yeah, there's definitely something they didn't quite predict, in the late
True.
90s, that, oh, this theory is going to like spin out of control with the internet comes along, and it's going to be something that stays, in kind of the
zeitgeist.
the zeitgeist of
Yeah.
all this. Exactly. But as far as Riley Strain goes, there's still, we're still looking for more
Exactly, Rob.
information. There's a lot of stuff that hasn't been released to the public yet. We just have that, I think it was, a week ago or so, from when this episode goes up, that the autopsy report was released. But
Yeah.
Riley Strain's family is still seeking answers, and they ordered a separate autopsy and also had a private investigator look into what happened. But I think we all, at least with what information we have, and obviously the autopsy report and what the police have told us, is that it seems like this was
that's
most
what
likely
they
an accidental
say, but
drowning,
is it
unfortunately.
true?
And it's a common thing. I think that's sometimes a hard thing to accept, is that this is very, very common.
Yeah.
You have to be careful around bodies of water, especially if you're drinking or intoxicated. You're on a boat,
Yeah.
you go out on a boat and you're not wearing a life jacket, and you're easier to drown than you think it is.
Yeah. Water is very, very unforgiving. But so with all those cases in mind, positive at the end, I think it's important. And we have seen evidence that police are very quick to just write these cases off. So many have agreed that the suspicious circumstances of these men's deaths, it's enough to warrant some questions, but many are still not convinced that this interconnected underground network of smiley face serial killers are really at play. And even the FBI still has not seriously considered this theory, and they have looked into it. They issued the following statement back in April to attention. So here is their official statement. Quote, "The FBI has reviewed the information about the victims provided by 2 retired police detectives who have dubbed these incidents the quote smiley face murders, and interviewed an individual who provided information to the detectives. To date, we have not developed any evidence to support any evidence substantiating the theory that these deaths are the work of a serial killer or killers. The vast majority of these instances appear to be alcohol-related drownings. The FBI will continue to work with the local police in the affected areas to provide support as requested."
Yeah, I don't know about you, but
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Can everybody hear me? I just want to make sure. Rozzy, you're absolutely right. And we're actually going to transition to the process church right after this is over. I just feel like law enforcement doesn't want it to all connect, because that creates more work for them. And law enforcement is very busy, right? They have a lot of murders. They have a lot of sexual assaults. They have so much going on, and jurisdictions across state lines and across our country, they don't talk to each other, and often they don't want to. They don't want to talk to each other, and they're trying to come up with a database to connect MOs of different kinds of homicides, but it's not like a foolproof thing right now. So each state doesn't necessarily know what's going on in the other states. And I feel like they think that people like us are conspiracy theorists and we're trying to make things up. I don't believe that. I don't believe that Riley Strain, a young kid, even though he was drunk and he was this, that, and I don't believe that he just like jumped in the water or passed out in the water. I don't believe that happened to the kids in Boston. I don't think that it happened to the kids in what was it, Washington or Wisconsin or wherever it was. I think that there is a link to this, and I think that they need to work deeper. But they would have to have some type of like Project Force team to investigate it all, and that costs money. And law enforcement is a business, right? Law enforcement is a business, and they need funds, and they need all of these things. So I think there's a lot of factors going into this, that even if it all is all connected, they're not trying to put the money into a task force to figure out if all of these are connected. And I believe that. And I think that there should be, but what do I know? Because I'm not the head of any state's law enforcement, government, but they should, because these families deserve answers. Some of them might be accidental deaths, but like the majority, I call bullshit.
I definitely trust the FBI a little bit more than I trust the local police.
Same.
I don't know about you, but like I think the FBI is giving this, like, I mean, they are the ones that catch serial killers most of the
this
time.
is
So
them. Yeah,
this is like their
real
specialty, and they have far more. They're saying this. I think you gotta take it seriously.
Yeah.
To some extent. So
agreed. That's unfortunately, this seems like if the FBI is like, nah, that seems like that they ended on a note where they're like, look, we will continue to work with. So as time went on, many skeptics have vocalized their thoughts on the theory as well. Well, Rube's area of the Pioneer Press has questioned Kevin Gannon's motives, and he argued that his team has failed to provide what we have been saying, any factual evidence that a group of killers exists. He also claimed that some of the parents of the victims have since expressed skepticism despite initially supporting the idea.
hold these, and then to not be able to back that up with any evidence, it's just not good.
Yeah,
not
that's
good
terrible.
at all.
This is another pretty big nail in the coffin. Christy PL, an Emmy-winning KSTP TV investigative reporter, who actually, she was the one who helped blow this up back in 2008, no longer buys Kevin's theory. She stood by her original reporting, but she believed that Kevin was only partially right. She said in 2010, quote, "I think he has gone down the wrong path. The smiley face killer name is a joke and tainted. We expected Kevin would hand over evidence to law enforcement and answer more questions about his theory. I viewed our story as a launching pad for him. Instead, he went in his own direction and didn't answer calls and questions from cops, families, and media." And after she had that interview, Kevin and Christy had a falling out soon after. So, man, even the person who helped you launch this into the media spotlight was like, what the hell, man? We thought you had the evidence. We thought you had the facts, and
they're so matter of fact.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right here too. The law enforcement that is working these cases should be getting the evidence and the facts for themselves. Why are they disparaging somebody who is trying to help them try to figure this out? Because clearly law enforcement isn't doing it. Dog Mom made a good point that a part of her doesn't believe that the FBI isn't watching. And I agree. But is there a task force? Is there a group together trying to figure this out? Because at the end of the day, whether there is a smiley face killer or not, I believe that there is. But let's just for speculation's sake say there's not. These families deserve answers. And if there is a rumor going around that these ex-detectives have deep dive these killings or these drownings, these whatever, I believe them. Why would they come out with a theory that's unsubstantiated and there's no evidence to support it? But I think that law enforcement is pushing back because they don't want to have to deal with it. Because they're like, I have enough on my plate. These kids drowned. But why not look further into it? Why call people crazy people? Maybe they're not. Did they ever think of that?
About it in their press conference.
Yeah.
Especially, it's like, bold claims. You got,
With
require
nothing.
some
Homicides.
extraordinary
Thank
evidence
you.
to
Yes,
back it up. You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like,
Extraordinary claims requires extraordinary evidence. Exactly. So yeah. To go on, there is actually a big research essay that we'll dive into a little bit. But yeah, many others, including the Center for Homicide Research, have poked holes into the smiley face killers theory. The Center for Homicide Research released a point-by-point research essay titled "Drowning the Smiley Face Murder Theory,"
Right.
with the intention of debunking this theory in 2012. And they researched 40 of the cases allegedly connected to the theory. We'll go through a condensed version of it here if you want. We will we'll link the PDF in the description of the YouTube. I found it fascinating. I went through the whole thing, but one of their strongest points was debunking the smiley face connection. And that is what this whole thing hinges upon is this smiley face connection. In any given case, investigators could only get an approximate area of where the victims entered the water. In any given city in the US, it is extremely likely to come across smiley face graffiti, especially in public places near bridges or paths near bodies of water. It might even be, and it's also one of the easiest
Most
symbols
of
to
it.
create. It's two dots.
it's literally
and a curve.
Yeah, it's like a universal symbol at this point.
Universal. It's everywhere.
I think probably all of us have seen a smiley face graffiti at some point.
Guaranteed.
Under a bridge or railroad track, somewhere
Everywhere.
that.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this right here for a second. One of my best friends, I think I've told you guys, he passed away right before Katie was born. He was a world-known graffiti artist. Okay, I know other graffiti artists because of him. I'm gonna put it out here that I have never, not one time, seen a smiley face near any of the graffiti that these men have done. And women are graffiti artists too. And they go under bridges and they do whatever. And they do beautiful murals of their tag names. They're not making smiley faces. They're just not. I'm not saying it can't happen, but in my experience with people who are real graffiti artists, that doesn't happen. I've not never once. And I have been going to graffiti sites for years. Okay. 4 years. They're not making smiley faces near rivers. I don't believe that. I don't. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Of a building. It's like,
I went to school in Grand Rapids, and there's a big river that kind of cuts through the city. And yeah, you can just go down on the little walkway. I guarantee you go down there, walk for 100 feet, and I'll eat my own shoe if you don't see a smiley face graffiti down there,
What about you, Danny? Have you seen smiley face graffiti before?
Yeah, anytime there's graffiti, I see a smiley face. It's the easiest thing to draw.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you're starting out as a graffiti artist or you're just doing that, like, what are you going to start with?
I disagree.
Yeah, right.
It's like a cross, a circle, you're going to start with easy.
It's a dick and balls.
Yeah, right.
It's like always like the go-to graffitis.
Yeah.
Right? So,
well, it's because this comes up in the docuseries and they like try to make the point like, no, it's not as common as you think.
Yeah, I remember
you see one here. No. And, here's a bunch of graffiti. You see a smiley face. And it's like, it's very like specific locations that just happen. Graffiti, but
still Kevin, exactly connected, and it's like document all these where I'm just not buying it. Also, just in any given populated region nearby water, a bridge is, it's bound to be nearby, and bridges are hotbeds for graffiti. So smiley face graffiti has also become a way. I didn't really think about this, but smiley face graffiti has become a way to troll local police. Since many cities, they have to document, since it's a crime, they have to document every instance of graffiti. So, I mean, if you'd have to guess, how quickly could you pull out spray paint and hit it with a smiley face and
super
right?
fast? Yeah.
So the essentials, but I think the last thing they noted was that none of the smiley faces found have ever matched one another.
Yeah.
So in the report, it says, quote, there is no common paint stroke. No credible linkage has been documented between any of the painted smiley
Well,
faces
because they're not
discovered
professional
near the dump
graffiti
sites of the
artists.
bodies or wherever. If
They're
you look at the slew of
homiciders, they're
pictures that
murderers.
people have connected to the cases, none of them look the same. Some have like a circle surrounding them. Some have drips, others don't. So I don't know if this whole thing is being proposed as its connection to smiley faces. I think there's plenty of holes in that end of the theory.
Yeah. And I really wonder.
This is a great point that our friend Rob is making. There's no common paint stroke because there are multiple killers. Isn't that a possibility? Rob, yes, yes, yes. Thank you for saying that. I was just going to say, these people aren't graffiti artists. Like, graffiti artists are like real artists. If there are multiple people spray painting a smiley face, it is not going to be consistent. Fuck out my face with that. With the like I love these guys, and I'm not disparaging what they're saying. I'm just making a point that if there's multiple people doing it, they're not going to be consistent.
If it was the graffiti at all that even made Kevin bring that people, all blew up. There was a happy face killer.
Yeah. Often gets confused.
With. So like when you search smiley face killer, usually Keith Hunter Jesperson pops up because he was actually the happy face killer, and he would like travel across the country or the West Coast, and he would murder women, a confession on the wall, and then sign it with a smiley face.
Yep.
So really, he's the one who he was doing this before any of this ever even came to light.
Yeah.
So you wonder if this is, and what's interesting too is that he was doing that on the walls of like truck stops and stuff where he was finding his victims, and it was getting absolutely no attention at all because he was leaving the happy face like, oh, maybe it's going to get people's attention. Wasn't. He had to actually go to like start writing stuff to the media to get their attention because nobody cared.
Who would care about graffiti in a truck stop?
Right? Exactly.
It's probably super common. We were considering covering that guy.
Yeah, we definitely will down the road for sure.
That'd be a good case.
But then you think about, and I think it's kind of the smiley face killers, I think, for especially people who consume true crime, I think really the intrigue kind of reminds me of the Zodiac. And the Zodiac is this unsolved, still unsolved case all these years, and you have the Zodiac symbols and stuff like that. And I think it's kind of that there's something about that still is like fascinating to us.
Right.
That case is still unsolved after all these years. And he had this like, very, unique mark. But again, it was something unique. And you look at every other serial killer for the most part that's had some type of calling card, it's usually something a little bit more unique than just like one of the most common signal or symbols ever. You know what I mean? Like look at BTK.
Yeah.
His symbol was, BTK, and he had like two little dots in there and stuff. So, I mean, Richard Ramirez,
we do know that it's been
right.
But yeah, so after all this, I mean, like point by point, what we've been saying in response to this, Kevin has, and his team, they've kind of distanced themselves from the smiley graffiti aspect of it because it just doesn't hold that much water.
Yeah, I feel like it discredits their work.
Yeah,
a lot.
The killers didn't do it for no reason. They're just like, oh yeah, they just didn't do it on this one, but it's still a smiley face. Yeah, it doesn't.
Why would such an organized, secretive group that literally communicates through the dark web even risk putting a symbol out there. That doesn't make any sense to me. And of all
Hi,
symbols,
Sarah.
Yeah, right.
Smiley face, like,
So
I don't know.
just like a cultural mythos lore
Yeah.
element to the case. But in the end, it didn't even really matter. They shied away from it, but base murder is this smiley face.
Yeah.
This is it kind of just stuck. And so now we just call it this because it was attached to it for so long, even though now it's not really. So the last note we have on the actual smiley face aspect of this is that skeptics point out that the theorist might be afflicted by apophenia, which is the tendency to perceive a connection or meaningful pattern between unrelated or random. That's how it goes, right?
But this is the thing, okay? I'm gonna speak on that. It is normal for people to want to know things, especially people like us, right? We have the time to deep dive these cases, and we are intelligent enough to say this all matters, this all connects, okay? And listen, online people are like deep diving. Like I can't even tell you how many cases I have deep dive. I have gone in depth, and I have read things that I wish that I could get out of my head, but I can't. We have the ability and the time to look into these and say, you know what, all of these connect. And we have the right to do that. And it's not about hopping on a train that's like, all cops are bad. They're not doing anything. You know, these shouldn't be connected. These are okay. Like, we are actually intelligent and do research like we are right now and looking into things and saying, this doesn't seem right. It doesn't pass the smell test. Like, am I right? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't. And I know for a fact, like, Dog Mom has looked into these cases. I know Rosie has looked into these cases. And there's a lot of things that are connected. And there's people like us that connect these things that maybe law enforcement can look into the internet and watch our shows and say, you know what? Like, maybe they're right. Like, the guys that we're watching, they're incredible. I watch your show all the time. I'm going to link this in my description today. And I usually am a huge skeptic of conspiracy theories, but then like I look at it and I'm like, but wait, this doesn't make sense. They're saying, like, serial killers, how many times have they said that all these women that get murdered, there's no connection, and then all of a sudden the Lisk guy, Rex Heuermann, gets arrested and he's labeled a serial killer, right? So I have some thoughts about that.
Also, with any theory, I mean, it's a little unfair, I think, just to be like, oh, it's like, okay, I mean, I get that's technically what it is, but
right.
Which, to be fair, I went and like did some diving on the smiley face killers, were like debunking it, and we're on, you know, kind of have this same take as we do.
Yeah,
that, you know, it's unfortunate evidence and stuff. It does seem like a lot of these deaths that Kevin and his team have tried to connect to, you know, the smiley face killers is accidental drownings.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to, which I think is why it's kind of started to fade a little bit, is because, you know, we have more and more information, and a lot of it points to, you know, being accidental, you know, other than some of the cases that we've talked about where there is possibility of homicide
going
on here. But as far as like a serial killer? Like,
Yeah.
is there even a motive here
Yeah, right.
for this to
true.
be? Because that's my thing is like, from the jump, I'm like, what's the motive?
Yeah, I remember they said it's like, oh, it's most likely that the murderers are like unsuccessful men who are jealous of successful young men. And I'm like, that's incredibly broad.
Yeah. And it also would suggest that this group is doing serious stalking and figuring out
knows the
that
ins
they
and
are
outs.
successful. Like,
Yeah.
uh, it's just, there's so many steps that would have to be done.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I am going to get on and say that I believe this is my thought, this is my speculation of the whole thing. I think that these boys are targeted by a group of men who are maybe live heterosexual lives, and they are attracted to these boys and want to kill them because they hate who they truly are. I've always believed that. And it's happened time and time and time again. They call them hate crimes at this point. They call them that's just what I believe, because these are young, cute, healthy, athletic boys that are alone and targeted in the middle of the night. I don't believe that's because they're successful, or these boys are college age. You know what I mean? They're not 40 like me, or 30s and 40s. They're not like us. These kids are in college and they're like they haven't even become themselves yet. So I'm going to disagree with what they're saying. That's just what I believe. And Rob, men who live heterosexual lives does not mean that they're partially exactly. And I think that there's like a hate for themselves, that they're attracted to these boys that are alone and drunk walking to wherever they're walking to, and they hate themselves so much that they commit homicides. And I do believe that there's a group of them, because how could there not be, right? If it is one person, that's crazy. Like that's a lot for one person. But I don't believe that it's because they're successful and whatever. I think that it's a group of men that hate themselves, and they murder kids that they're attracted to because they hate themselves.
To make this all work. And then why abduct them? And wouldn't there like be evidence of sexual assault? Wouldn't there be other evidence of something? Like, what are they doing when they abduct these young men?
Right.
Where are they taking them?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah.
Why are they, the drugging thing, I think that happens all the time to men and female. And there's obviously motives for reasons why people do that. But in these cases, it's like, what's the motive? Like, why are they doing this?
Mm-hmm. And I do want to say, like, even though the smiley face thing has basically been debunked, and the network of serial killers, it's like, doesn't really, I still, the bottom line, I do think the one point that we can come away with all this is that accidental drowning deaths, police can be
quick to judge.
Just brush
write it off
and,
as accidental.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So I think that's like the one thing we can really come away with. But to continue on with their points here, the Center for Homicide Research also claimed that none of these drownings fit a serial killer motive. This is what you were just saying. Serial homicide is a manifestation of a syndrome of behavior based on psychological motives.
See?
And these deaths do not show any of the related indicators. There was no proven financial motive for any of the killings. There's also no known serial offender who has ever drowned their victims, which I never knew that before.
Yeah.
They also dove into statistics on drowning and alcohol-related deaths. So we're going to go through a little bit of those. In La Crosse, Wisconsin, where Lucas Homan died, foot patrols and police have stopped over 50 intoxicated people from fall 2006 through February 2010 from approaching the river late at night. And between 1997 to 2010, 9 intoxicated college men have drowned in area rivers.
So that's the whole thing too, that, Kevin's like, these are, the demographics are similar, these college age men. Well, it's like, who's at the bars?
Yeah, who's getting wasted?
Who's
and
getting
going
wasted
to
at
a
the bars?
river?
Is it 60-year-old?
Like, are they being stalked at the bars that they're at? Like, has anyone ever checked to see who was at the bars that these boys left, or wherever they were, somewhere at bars? But let's just say bars for this instance. Was anything ever investigated of who was there? Because I don't think so, because law enforcement has always chalked these up to accidental deaths. 19 boys, accidental deaths? Give me a break. Give me a fucking break.
I mean,
Yeah.
he might be there, but
True.
and college, when you're in those college years, yeah,
That's
you
when
party hard.
You don't really know your
yeah.
limits too. Sometimes you go a little overboard a lot of those nights. So,
Or you're mixing substances and things like
Yeah.
that. That's a little bit more probable, but
yeah, it's kind of just the sad reality of these bodies of water being near college towns too. But the process where intoxicated men accidentally fall into a river is already known and well documented. The La Crosse Police Department issued a report detailing the circumstances of at least 20 imminent drowning victims who survived. Causes included dares, suicide attempts, and most commonly, just flat out accidents. Most of the victims were intoxicated at the time of the near drownings. Many of these drowning cases involve aspects of auto assassination, and auto assassination, if you don't know, is not necessarily suicide, but a style of living with reckless disregard for one's own life. And according to the CDC, responsible drinking does not involve drinking to the point of intoxication. Many of the victims were witnessed drinking to the point of total inebriation. Plus, these might have been
hasn't?
intentional suicide. Suicide is a leading cause of people aged 15 to 24. And binge drinking is a strong predictor of actual suicide attempts. Their last point was that the drowning.
I'm going to take a poll right now. I'm going to take a poll. How many of you, I'm doing a poll. Hold on. I got to get my phone. I'm going to do a poll. How many of you believe that these kids, hold on. I had to do it on my phone. I'm doing a poll. Hold on. Wait, do I have to? I can't do it on here. God, why can't I do it? Okay, we're just going to do it. How many of you believe that these kids were suicidal because they were inebriated? Please tell me. Please tell me. Hold on. Hold on here, guys. I'm new here. Okay. How many of you believe that I can't do a poll? Oh, wait, maybe I can. Maybe I can. Right here. Poll. Hold on, kids. All right, done. How many of you making changes? Hey, baby. It's good to see you, Patrick. One of my faves. Hi, honey. How many of you believe that these kids were suicidal? I don't believe that in the least. I don't believe that any of these kids were were suicidal. Not even like a little bit, okay? Not even a little bit. Did the poll go through? No, yes. Yeah, no way. Exactly. I don't know. I don't know if the poll went through. I'm new here. I do not believe that any of these kids were suicidal and tried to drown themselves. Not a fucking chance. Not a chance. These kids were having fun. They were out with their friends. They were in college trying to make a career for themselves, trying to get into adulthood. And you're going to tell me that they were trying to walk home and all of a sudden they decided that they wanted to jump in the water when some of them didn't even have water in their lungs? Get out of my face with that. I don't believe that for a second.
Of college students is not limited by region, but by climate. States like Arizona, Utah, and Nevada all lack similar cases because they are in a desert climate where there's a lack of water. I do want to make one point on that. Like when I think of all the college town, Michigan, where I'm from, and there's a lot of universities and colleges there, it's every single one has a river. Every single one has like a body of water nearby. So it's just a matter of climate. And
Yeah.
that, like, of course. Yeah. So I do want to point
You
that
would
out.
expect to see more drowning deaths around areas with lots of water.
Yeah. In a college town of college men
Right,
dying there.
right.
It's just nearby, right? Another point is that many theorists claim that water washed away crucial evidence in these cases. And I found this interesting
Right.
because it's actually been proven to do the exact opposite in some cases.
Right.
Water that is cold, like in many of these cases, is known to preserve bodies and wound patterns. It might wash off blood, but it retains other pieces of evidence like fingerprints on the skin. I didn't know that. In river drownings, it's been proven that fiber evidence.
I think that's a huge key point in all of this is that there's a reason it's the Northeast. You know what I mean?
Right.
Thank
The
you,
water
baby.
temps are just different as opposed to
Exactly.
down south,
Right.
Florida, Alabama, around those bodies of water where the water's generally warmer,
Yeah.
and the environmental conditions are different. The wildlife's different down there. So you've got a lot more going on there. Whereas up north, I don't know what kind of wildlife exists in the rivers and lakes up there, but
nothing too dangerous.
But there's no alligators and I'm sure like turtles
Florida
and stuff like
where
that.
there are
Yeah,
alligators.
we have like some snapping turtles. We have like, but really, yeah, we have like one poisonous snake in Michigan. I think it's like we have like black bears, but they're the smallest kind. Really, not much kills you out in the wilderness.
We got water moccasins,
like the Midwest
compared to
and stuff.
somewhere like Florida.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Every body of water has an alligator in it, pretty much, or some other type of species of creature that's gonna, break down a body quicker. So, but the cold water, to me, that just makes so much sense. Why these bodies would be
preserved,
not as decomposed as they would expect it to be, and that's where I'm like, the decomposite homicide, and it's like, well, is it possible? And that's, I think there needs to be more study, because one thing that came to my mind was body farms. You know what body farms are?
No.
So there's I think 5 body farms across the United States, and basically but it's in soil, and most of the times I believe. I don't know that there's any body farms that are testing decomposition in different types of water and different temperatures. How does different environmental conditions, especially with water, affect the rate at which a body decomposes? Because we've been studying it in different types of oil, different types.
Being in true crime, I have always been told that when bodies go into the water, it essentially washes away all evidence, right? Like, I watched a really horrific trial from Florida, and this guy unalived a little girl, okay? And he did horrific things to her. And because she was put in the water, all of the evidence essentially was washed away, and the only reason that he knew that the state that was prosecuting him, the defendant, knew that he did it was because she was pregnant with his baby. So are these kids going into the water to wash away evidence? Because like fingerprints and all of that would be not viable, right, any longer. So to say that it like the water is preserving a evidence, I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
Of land circumstances, but I'm like, why not water? It seems like we need more research in that department.
Are body farms? Is that the official
That's the
name?
term. Yeah, they're called a body farm.
Oh,
So basically students watch you decompose.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
There's
there's
actually 8 of them.
Is there 8?
Eight
Thank
Eight
you.
of them.
Yeah,
They're all at universities.
yeah, university led for anthropologists to study, which is really. But yeah, you can. I think there's some documentary stuff on YouTube, but they have to like blur everything because technically you're looking at dead bodies. But
Wow.
there's some good documentaries out there where, yeah, these students are just walking through this like field and there's just bodies everywhere, and they're like studying how they break down, and they think they test out different things.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
At least they're legally obtained bodies. Back in
Right.
the day, the universities have cadavers and stuff, but that's fascinating. I didn't know that existed. One of the last points this research essay goes over is the drugging theory. And GHB and other substances, they only stay in the body for so long. And the cases where GHB was discovered still don't have evidence to support that the drugging was malicious. And this is a great point. The victim could have willingly taken the drug, and it was big in the 90s club scene especially. And like we've said before, GHB is also naturally produced in the body, plus the decomposition. Accounting for all that, I think, yeah, as we've been saying, like, Kevin, where is the evidence? If you're going to say that these people were drugged.
And he says, literally GHB has been found in every single case I've looked at, pretty much. So,
but have you had any shred of evidence that you know that someone actively, maliciously gave the victim those drugs? Unfortunately, no.
Right. Well, and despite the critics and skepticism, the smiley face killers theory lives on. And like we've been referencing throughout this whole episode, 2019, Oxygen did the docuseries Smiley Face Killers, featuring Kevin and his team. And this sparked obviously another wave of interest in the cases. And although some of these cases had their status changed from unexplained drowning to homicide, none of them have been solved, and there are no known suspects. So let's just, wrap this episode up by talking about what theories still remain in regards to what is or who are
that's interesting.
The Smiley Face murders. So obviously a serial killer, could it be one serial killer that's somehow operating?
That would be
absolutely insane.
Yeah, that would be the scariest serial killer we've ever seen.
Well, that means I'm out,
undetected
Wayne.
After all this time.
Yeah, and doing it,
the frequency,
is insane.
It would be crazy.
Yeah,
because I mean, you look at the similarities between the victims: age, race, gender. Some even had similar personality types: athletic, sociable, and successful. So many point to this as evidence of a single serial killer targeting these men because of these traits. The idea is that the killer is the exact opposite of what these men were: not smart, not popular, and not successful in school. I just don't know if that, like, if you look at historically with serial killers, is that enough of a motive to go to this extent as a single person, and also evade all detection, not be picked up by any camera anywhere, any vehicle?
I've said that there are cameras,
right?
How can you be dumb and get away with all this?
Right, exactly. Like, just come on.
Yeah, that's a
just-
great point. That completely defeats the idea that
Yeah.
they're stupid. Yeah.
No, they're the smartest serial killer to ever exist.
Yeah, they would have to be at this rate, right?
And yet they're going after other smart people.
yeah.
And then like it's that the whole term like all these victims were all smart and successful. It's all
A
open
bit stretched,
to
yeah.
interpretation.
Like
and
all of them.
what criteria are we putting them
Right.
against? So that's just like opinions.
I don't know if you guys just heard, but like if you're fat, you can't be in a body farm. So you saved yourself. Can't. There are cameras everywhere. I mean, maybe not in the 90s, but if it's continuing to happen, like people are gonna get found out. Like people are gonna get found out eventually.
Yeah.
But obviously a group of serial killers. And this is, obviously one of the most popular ones, if not the most popular one, that Kevin and his gang have really kind of pushed out there, especially at the beginning, and now have kind of walked back a little bit. It's like,
he's gung ho.
It's multiple cells. So they think that these killers operate multiple cells throughout the United States. They communicate somehow, maybe through the dark web, and that's possibly, how they're doing it. And some believe that these murders might be a type of smiley face gang initiative.
So sorry, I keep stopping, but I just need to say something. So the Charlie Kirk assassination, the killer was part of a Discord server who was like extremists, and they all were Charlie Kirk haters, and it went undetected. And these people knew that the man was sick and wanted to do this on a Discord server. So keep that in mind. It is not impossible. It is not impossible.
Members who want to join would have to murder a person of the gang's choosing, and they targeted intoxicated college-age men walking home alone at night. Why wouldn't women be a part of that? If it's just that, like, why are women being left out? Would it matter? Like, why is it just men?
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
Why just any person? Like, if you're a gang,
why would
just
it
targeting
matter?
men when women also? I mean, women are murdered all the time as well,
right,
walking home from bars and
All
stuff. But how come they're never
welcome.
looped into this smiley face killer theory?
Yeah. I think maybe that's more of like we have an agenda and we want to make sure to keep it consistent here.
Yeah.
If we're going with this serial killer theory, they
keep the mythos,
yeah,
one way here. Unfortunately, another common theory is that many of these men simply drowned. With the exception of a few cases, there's no actual evidence that supports the theory that these men were murdered. Others argue that a tight police department budgets are partially responsible for lack of homicide investigations. Yeah, or just like, let's just go with the most obvious theory here, and that's what all the evidence seems to point to. So let's go that way.
Yeah, I mean, I am a big Occam's razor. This is the simplest explanation, so it's probably this. I don't like how though that it's like it is the simplest explanation, and it's probably this. So let's just say screw it and look past all these factors in these cases. So that's where it gets dangerous, I think. Like, yes, it is the most obvious. Yes, it is the easiest to explain, but I think there are definitions to
totally. Well, and I can't tell you how many cases there are out there where police rule someone's death a suicide, and there's overwhelming evidence that suggests that it was a murder stage suicide scene, and that happens a lot too. So I think that's just kind of something universal to law enforcement. Of they often just go with like what's the most obvious answer here, and then don't look at any other scenario.
Amen.
For whatever reason,
time and time again.
A lot of time
that's like budget or
resources or caseload, but sometimes there's maybe cover up, hiding things. Maybe they messed up on the investigation. They don't want to go back and admit they were wrong, or had tunnel vision. I think there's a lot of ego wrapped up in these investigations sometimes.
There sure
especially
are.
When they blow up in the media, that they don't want to walk back things. And so, which is unfortunate, because at the end of the day, it's just like, the family just want to know the truth. They want to know the truth about what happened to their loved one.
They deserve it.
And it's hard to feel like you're getting the truth when we see this happen all the time.
Yeah.
And we're like, and then I couldn't even imagine being told one thing and then you find out years later, it's like, oh no, actually we just completely skipped this piece of evidence. We even look at this theory and now we're changing the cause of death. We're changing this now and we're going a completely different direction. Imagine if you
if this was one of my family members, I would lose total faith in the police department. I'd be like, I don't trust you guys one iota now. Yeah.
And that happens so much, unfortunately. Such a systemic issue, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
But then there's the theory of unconnected foul play, murder. So, and I lean a lot towards these cases that it does seem likely that homicide was involved, that this is not anything connected to this network of killers, that this is just, it's kind of coincidental that it kind of it's been categorized in with all these other cases.
Yeah, it's like it's the two farthest extremes. We have total accidental drowning to full-blown serial killer network, where maybe the truth is somewhere in between,
in the middle. Yeah.
That could be true.
Because even Kevin and Tony have pointed out the smiley face symbol is not always present and whatsoever. So, and it's unfortunate because maybe police stay away from those cases because they have been looped in and stuff, and they don't want to get involved with it, or have to acknowledge that because they know if it's already been kind of looped into that sphere, that they do a press conference on the case, reporters are going to bring that up. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're going to bring up whatever the internet's talking about, or Twitter. They're going to get blasted. So I think part of that is why that, why this happens the way it does. But again, regardless of what anyone believes, the attention to these cases brought positive pressure on local law enforcement. In many cases where accidental drowning has been determined as a cause, it did end up allowing them to reconsider the original findings and, hopefully put them on the path to find out what really happened. And I think that's all any of us want at the end of the day, is for those that have, especially have lost their children, lost a loved one.
This
and
problem.
Even if the obvious answer seems to be that it was accidental, or, it can be hard to deal with the fact that your loved one may have played a part in their death in some way, whether it was, just getting too intoxicated, or maybe they experimented with drugs, and that can be very hard to deal with. But ultimately, I'm all for looking at this from every angle. And how could you not?
Yeah.
To really, you want to feel like,
I want to make sure I've exhausted all of my resources to make sure and try and find the truth.
Totally. So I don't fault these families or blame them at all. I think they're doing exactly what any of us would do in their situation. And
agreed.
And yeah, it's hard to trust the police. So you've got to.
That's exactly, I think, how most of us feel. We don't trust that the police are doing their job because they don't want the heat, and they don't. It's like if this was true, if this is true, that there is a connection of people going out and hurting college age boys, that would be a big task force and a lot of money, and they don't want to deal with it. And so it's easier to say that these are individual kids either trying to unalive themselves, or they're slipping and falling because they're drunk. And they brought up a good point. Look at Sandra Birchmore. They chalked her up to a suicide. And look where Matthew Farwell is right now for the murder of Sandra Birchmore. How can you trust the police that they're doing their job? I am pro-police, okay? I am pro-good police. I am not pro what they do in a lot of cases, because families deserve the real answers, okay? I put myself in other people's shoes and I say, if that was my family member, if that was my son, if that was me, if I ended up like dead, I want someone to find out what fucking happened to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it seems unfair. And even if they think that the smiley face killer theory is wild, they should investigate it. What if it's not wild? What if this really happened, which I think it did? That like I brought up the Charlie Kirk thing in Discord. I don't want to get into it, politics and what the case is about, but I do know that the person that they have detained and is a suspect was a part of a Discord server and everybody knew. So it's just a lot to digest, and for law enforcement to dismiss what could be true because of money, time, whatever, that's not, oh, that doesn't sit well with me. And I know that my chat, I know that doesn't sit well with you either. So I just that's my thoughts on that. I don't know, kids.
It's great to get second opinions. It's, because there's so many mistakes that happen, so much sloppy work that goes on, that if you feel like something is weird in your case, or, something that happened to a loved one of yours, there's a good chance that maybe something did happen, and it's worth getting looked at. And I think the unfortunate reality is a lot of victims' families out there don't have the resources to get that second opinion or get that.
It's very expensive.
PI or expert to take a look at their loved one cases, and they're just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And they're fighting with the local authorities to try to get them to reopen stuff. And it's a never ending fight, which is unfortunate. But as far as Kevin and Tony go, as of 2019, they've continued their research, and they're making the round, after the oxygen, they kind of made the rounds online. They've been on some podcasts and interviewed and things like that. And they've raised plenty of valid questions in many of the drowning cases they've reexamined. And I think we can appreciate them for that they did spend the time and, for the most part, tried to take a scientific approach, got the experts involved they needed to really look at these cases in the files. But unfortunately, without fresh evidence, it seems like many of these cases aren't going to move in one direction or the other. So it's like I
think that's what it comes down to, is just evidence.
Mm-hmm.
We got to have the evidence if we're going to move these cases.
There is evidence.
It's difficult, man. But I think I just don't know how you can really be a real believer in the smiley face killer theory.
Too many holes.
When
Yeah. And as you're way more versed in theories than I am. But yeah, where's your bottom line on this?
Like this one for me, I think I was always very skeptical of it, because I kind of case that has so much mythos and lore around it. I'm definitely
You smell
more skeptical.
Yeah.
Good to see
I didn't know just how deep this went. And I think after looking at everything and seeing just how much lack of information there is to connect these cases in any way, shape, or form, and then also the smiley face thing, I kind of feels like just was added on to kind of just keep it in the people's minds and keep them interested. And there's just very few cases where it actually applies in any way, shape, or form. And it makes
40 cases
out there,
sir.
Everything that happens from here on out, is it just some sicko that's like, oh, let's go, somebody drowned again, let's go run out there and spray paint a smiley face and just keep it going.
Yeah.
I find that hard.
It's just kind of this thing that happened. The data and historical information that we have on serial killers, and you look at it, it wasn't all that common among many serial killers for them to do any sort of signal or calling card. And most of them, it was like notes they wrote to the media and stuff. It wasn't like symbols and this whole cryptic, thing that game that they're kind of playing. So for me, I don't think that this exists or is real.
Yeah.
In the way that Kevin and his team have presented it. I think it's possible killers interact with each other via the dark web, and maybe there's some organized serial killing going on. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I could believe it.
I mean, I think it'd be ignorant to not think that that could be possible, because we know how much shit goes on the dark web,
Right.
and that way I think it's possible. But as far as something currently going on that,
Is like a massive network with cells in different cities across the US.
yeah, I just don't see any evidence to back that up at all.
And the only evidence, quote unquote, is the login page that they supposedly found.
Which, yeah, where's that at?
And I'm like,
You're
what?
right.
They have a login page?
Yeah.
What is this?
Badazzer.
Smiley face murders?
Exactly.
Portal?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's,
Right here.
Like what? I don't know.
I just don't think that they would, if there was really this organized cell group, like they, like it wouldn't make it so obvious. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And wouldn't somebody flip
Yeah,
in the past,
yeah, totally.
like, 20 years,
Would there
25
be a
years?
whistleblower that comes out? It's like, I was a part of the Smiley Face gang for X amount of years. Here's
Right.
how
Oh.
it's, and
Here's
here's
some
what we
names.
did.
Go to jail.
Yeah, here's names. Here's how we did it, and
Yeah.
we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
Where are you guys at on this?
Yeah, I kind of chalk it up to maybe it was conscious, maybe it was unconscious that it was like, we need to get in the media spotlight and start getting attention so we can put pressure on local police departments.
Yes.
To
Let's
start
get people
like I said, conscious or unconscious, I'm not sure, but I think it kind of worked though.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't fault them for that. Where now?
I just saw Wayne mention that Karen Reed's civil hearing is on Tuesday. If you guys would like to watch it with Unsolved with Amy Boston, I can stream it for you guys at 2. Let me know if we could all hang out and chat and watch it together. I would love to do it. Just let me know in the chat. Okay. I'm actually going to stop this one because it's pretty much over. And it's just them like saying goodbye. Yeah. Okay. So 2:00, I will stream the Karen Reed civil trial. I work, so I can only stream it. I can't talk. But we can all chat together, which I absolutely love. I adore you guys. I adore my chat. You guys are so supportive and just like fucking true crime fanatics. And I love that you love Unsolved Amy Boston. And I love hanging out with you in chat. So I will do it. I'll find it and we will stream that on Tuesday. So that would be cool. Whoever wants to hang out, if you want to go hang out somewhere else too, that's fine. Do what you want. But I will do it. And whoever wants to be in chat will be in chat and we can hang out and talk shit. I have one more. Thing to go over. It's about the Process Church, which Rosie turned me on to, and it seems like it's all connected. This I haven't watched totally, so it's kind of going to be like we're all watching this for the first time together. If it sucks, I'm sorry, but I really think it's good. It's kind of unraveling the mystery of the Process Church, which it's all connected. And that's what I've been told. And we're going to watch it together. And hopefully we all can. I almost just shared my son's shit. Hold on here. It's unraveling the mysteries of the Process Church. So we're going to get into this. Rosie tells me that everything's all connected with all of this. So, and not for nothing, this is really fucked up. As just to learn about it, it's going to be amazing. So let's go ahead and get started with this.
Unveiling the mysteries of the Process Church. With the publication of Timothy Willey's book on the process, a new perspective of the group has emerged which reveals a radically different view from all that has been written about to this point, the majority of the books and articles having enmeshed the process into a conspiratorial role by identifying it with the Manson family, son of Sam, or by postulating other nefarious activities that they imagine they might have been involved in. This documentary aims to reveal and dispel the mysteries of the process and is presented from a non-conspiratorial perspective. The process developed into an extremely intelligent, creative and innovative system of psychotherapy which produced shocking results in its effectiveness and beneficially changed the lives of those involved in its methods. While the sociological impact evidenced by the process upon any widespread mainstream audience was minor, those who utilized their therapeutic methods found them an effective way to tap inner reservoirs, and many aspirants were enthralled by the
I'll be right
apocalyptic
back.
philosophy espoused by Robert de Grimston. Many of de Grimston's writings are heavily steeped in rhetoric and combine the approach of philosophic logicians with the bombastic apocalyptic style of Austin Osman Spare. The process represented many different things to each of its adherents. It served a myriad of simultaneous functions to those that it attracted and was a unique organization that was much more multifaceted than merely being an offshoot of Scientology. The process was a sociological experiment that pushed the boundaries of what was achievable working within a group dynamic. It continually evolved and changed from its early period in 1966 to the schism in 1974, at which time it ceased to be known as the process. They initially emerged as a psychotherapeutic group but eventually evolved more religious overtones to their decrees. After their journey to Still, the direction of the group had dramatically changed. The process articulated and promoted a doomsday message concerning an approaching Armageddon. The extremeness of their message being espoused regarding the unity of Christ and Satan, although it was concerned with the reconciliation of opposites, may have been seen as extreme for those who first encountered. The process believed that the world was coming to an end, but that it would be saved if they could assist both Christ and Satan in their reconciliation. Robert and Mary Ann met while both were deeply involved in the exploration of the methods of Scientology. After becoming clear, Mary Ann influenced Robert, during their sessions as auditors using the e-meter, to deviate from the standard practice of auditing by following their own line of questioning designed to uncover points of contention which were spiritual and psychological block in those participants. Mary Ann found a complementary partner in Robert, and aided by a powerful chemistry that developed, they were able to evolve techniques which came to be used in compulsions analysis. Robert changed his last name to de Grimston because of its occult significance. They continuously revised and improved upon therapeutic techniques and probed the minds of their inner circle in lengthy brain-probing sessions and produced oftentimes startling results. In 1962, Rob Moore and Marianne McLean joined the Scientology Center located in London on Fitzroy Street. After quickly rising through and acquiring considerable skills as Scientology auditors, they grew weary with the unquestioning adherence to Hubbard's doctrine and began to develop their own methods for auditing. They resigned their positions in the Scientology organization and began to combine the concepts of Adler regarding compulsive goals with techniques taken from Scientology, continually refining their methods and producing dramatic results with their clients. In 1963 they announced their own psychotherapeutic group, known as Compulsions Analysis. Its methods were designed to rid the patient of compulsive behaviors. They used the e-meter as a powerful tool to measure emotional charge and produced effective results through their adept usage of the device. As the therapy sessions continued, a deeper sense of spiritual purpose began to emerge from this, manifested in the formation of the Process Church. The name process was chosen as a reference to the change that occurred through transformative means of their influence. They relocated to Balfour Place in the Mayfair district in London and emanated a professional demeanor in this upscale neighborhood. After lengthy deliberation, it was ascertained that the group should travel to Xtal in the Yucatan Peninsula. While living at Xtal, the group weathered a severe hurricane, and de Grimston experienced a direct contact with the gods. The members experienced a rebirth and realized a fundamental theology level of purpose and significance, and the group set course on a spiritual odyssey. The Omega drifted further from reach after this early period and soon was only seen by those in the innermost circle. As the processor's theological ideologies developed, de Grimston interpreted three basic forces which he designated as God, Lucifer, and Satan. Christ was presented because Satan was included.
I am actually going to change it up a little bit today. I'm gonna actually put on. Do you guys know the case of Courtney Clenny, who she unalived her boyfriend, and she was an OnlyFans. Yeah. I'm gonna change it up. I actually found something. I want to do this earlier. I'll find something better about the process church. I didn't really look at that before, but I'm gonna put something on about Courtney Clenny because she's fascinating and her case is coming up, and I want to cover it. So sorry that I'm changing it up, but I just want to make it a little more fun for us and we can talk and whatever. If you guys are into Courtney Clenny, then we are going to do that. It is through Ashley Banfield. And I am going to play this. It is the OnlyFans model Courtney Clenny, victim or murderer. Vinnie Politan actually is going to investigate.
Tragic death of Christian Obumseli at the hands of his girlfriend, a social media influencer and OnlyFans model named Courtney Clenny. Here's the story. The story of Courtney Clenny and Christian Obumseli is one steeped in glamour, passion, and ultimately devastating tragedy. Clenny, a social media star with millions of followers, lived in the shimmering heights of Miami's luxury land, described as vibrant, ambitious, and full of life. But behind the glossy images and curated posts, their relationship was marred by turbulence, arguments, and allegations of violence. In April of 2022, the glittering facade.
Quick question. I am fascinated by Scientology, okay, and I know like way too much about it. Would you guys, since we've done with the smiley face killer, which we can always go back to at some point, would you guys want to do Scientology next week? Because it is fucking fascinating and I absolutely love it. I want to say it is unsolved because the whole thing is just messed up, unsolved, missing people. No one can afford Scientology. It's like crazy. I might do Scientology next week. So if you guys are interested, I will be doing Scientology next week. Let's go back to our friend Courtney Clenny, who killed her boyfriend with the knife.
High-rise apartment. Police arrived to a scene of chaos, blood, screams, and life slipping away. Clenny claimed self-defense, but prosecutors painted a darker portrait of manipulation and rage. The case in its wake. Courtney Clenny was making money. She was making very good money for someone that young and early in your career, whatever your career is. It was like real money. I want you to take a listen to her father, who was in court, and the issue was about bond and bail, talking about the money that he was handling that was at
Third, Courtney was a mess. I didn't really trust her to handle finances. One important thing was that one of her accounts was not found, and we didn't know who had it or had access to her accounts. So we felt like the prudent thing to do would be to transfer the money into one of our kind of dormant accounts and then safeguard it that way. And then as she needed it, we could use it on her benefit. So the first wires were on April 12th of this year. There was one wire for $121,000, one wire for $1,013,000, and then subsequently in May there was a $50,000 wire as well.
Okay, that's big money. The lifestyle she was living down in Miami, one of the most expensive areas of Miami, where all the young folks with money want to live. Take a listen to Courtney Clenny. She's on body cam here talking about what she's paying in rent per month.
He has belongings in there with you, right? He has property?
So
he has property in your apartment?
In my apartment, yes, and I paid $10,000 a month. I don't care what happens. I just don't. I don't want to.
She's paying the money. It's not they're paying the money. Her and Christian, her boyfriend, she is the one making the dough.
Because
she's the one renting. Okay, so where's the money coming from? Where's the money coming from? We call her a social media influencer. She's prolific with millions of fans on Instagram. And she's making money on OnlyFans. And that brings us first question. What runs on OnlyFans? We talked about this many times. We've heard of the OnlyFans. What happens on there? Let's bring in some guests who are going to help answer that question. OnlyFans creator Sapphire, who has been creating content for 5 years on OnlyFans, and OnlyFans creator Marie D, who's been creating content for 3.5 years. So both have spent some time making money. When we hear those numbers, is the money really good?
Oh, definitely. Personally, don't make money.
So, is there a relationship between those two sites and the way to do business and to make money?
Absolutely. There's the money you make on OnlyFans. As someone who has also made millions on OnlyFans, that influencer put this type of image out. You really have to be on the ball all the time and, put such a facade out there, like the word you guys used. But in general, yeah, you need a lot of followers to generate that sort of income. And I think that's exactly what she had going on. And
we may have some viewers who are subscribers on OnlyFans, and we may have a whole bunch who have never seen it and don't really know what really happens on OnlyFans. Give us an idea of what's happening on OnlyFans.
Let's find out.
Yeah, so the appeal initially for me for OnlyFans was that it could be anything that you want it to be. For me, I do post explicit content. So a lot of creators subscription, and they'll post maybe nude content, or they'll have things behind a paywall where you can pay a little bit more money and get, a full-length video of them. I make videos with my partners. And for me, it's all been very amateur. It's me, sharing very personal things with my subscribers. And yeah, it's essentially just amateur adult content. That's what I share, and that's what I've made on doing.
So Courtney, who went by the name Courtney Taylor, was doing some videos, not all the time, but sometimes with Christian. Is that common? Like your boyfriend, your girlfriend, that together you'll appear on OnlyFans doing what you would normally do in private?
Yes, very common, because a huge moneymaker on the platform is selling those full-length tapes. So if you have a partner, you have the benefit of not having to find someone to collaborate with. So you can make more of that content.
And who keeps the money? Who controls the money in that situation?
Yeah, well, essentially for me, I always control the money. My partner gets the benefit of, being able to help me out, and it's up to me whether I want to compensate them or not. I mean, everyone's going to work differently, but usually my partners have been willing to help me with my business. It's my name.
So
it's my
essentially, Courtney Clenny had her boyfriend, and she made millions of dollars. Okay, millions of dollars having relations with the man that she killed, and she had control of the money, control of him, and sold him a dream, and she controlled him like the narcissist that she is. I'm not a kink shamer. If you are okay with being in OnlyFans and having sex with your partner on camera for money, that's what you're going to do. But Courtney Clenny was a whole other beast. Okay. She controlled this boy and ended up killing him because he wasn't doing exactly what she thought he should be doing. And what happened was she made all this money, had this beautiful home, and because she controlled the money, she could throw him out whenever she wanted. They fought all the time. She controlled him, but used him for content for the millions of dollars that she made, and didn't compensate him, but controlled him and let him live with her. Let's keep going.
face. I'm the star. That's how I run my business. People do things differently, but that's what made sense for me.
Marie, how about from your perspective? Are you doing the same type of content?
Yes. So I do full length adult content as well. I have one male partner, and say that he is also my full-time bookkeeper, which is great. But basically the way that my business works is on a salary. So he gets paid a salary wage, just like my assistants I have. Since I am a larger creator now, I need more help warmer on a full-time. I still get the, obviously largest percentage of the income I make.
And I hear from both of you, my business, you are in charge. Well, let me ask you, Marie, the case of Courtney and Christian, obviously she was in charge. I don't know how that impacted tension or jealousy on the behalf of Christian, or if she had more power in the relationship. How has that impacted your professional collaboration going on? You're in charge.
One interesting aspect of OnlyFans is that to the general public and to people who don't understand what it is, quote, degrading to women. But to the ladies like myself who are actually doing it and earning millions of dollars, it's empowering. So I think that where I am is extremely empowered and confident. And that could have potentially been Courtney as well. She could have felt like she was just on top of the world. She could do anything that she wanted to. She didn't need anyone's approval. And, I'm not sure the dynamic of her personal relationship, but when you're the boss, you need to have control and you need to feel like you're in control. So that could have been an issue for her. For my personal life, I feel like I have reached a great work-life balance, which although I'm making adult content, although, my content is very sexy and, it looks really fun to the viewers, there's a lot of business and strategies that go into it. So for me personally, I have just set strict boundaries on what my partner has claimed to versus what I have claimed to and my business has claimed to. And that has helped me a lot. Now, what I think could have happened with Courtney is that she just felt entitled to anything and everything that came her way. And maybe if her partner was being a little greedy in her eyes, that could have been a different dynamic. On top of someone who is already abusive and mentally ill, I couldn't imagine what could happen from that. But as far as how it affects my personal life, it does affect. I mean, this type of business is not only a business that generates a lot of money, but it is my body, it is my privacy, it is my sexuality, it is all of those things. So it's way more sensitive than any business could be. And I think a lot of people do not understand that. A lot of people see any adult performers as soulless or like we don't have morals or we don't have ethics. And that is simply just not the case. So I think for a lot of people, they may never be able to understand this dynamic. But what happened in this case was just purely wrong. I think it could have happened to anyone owning a business when there's a lot of money mixed in with sexuality, both of them performing together. I just think it was honestly a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. The other part, Sapphire, that happened with Courtney, it seems that there were a lot of drug use involved. And that's, I guess, the potential downfall when you're young, living on the high.
I would just like to say that she does not look like that anymore. Like, it's kind of like Jonna Adelson. Once you stop getting the Botox and you stop getting all of like the millions of dollars of treatment that you were getting because you were having sex online for money, amateur, she looks totally different and she's a little puffy. I'm just saying.
All this money flowing in. Have you seen that in the industry for OnlyFans creators? Is that common, or is this more of an outlier in what happened with Courtney Clenny?
That's what she wore to the fucking police station.
I would definitely say that it is a common struggle amongst creators. Personally, I've had my struggles, especially in the beginning. Like, I really didn't know just getting myself into. I thought, come to realize how to have the willpower to manage your fine alcohol or, whatever is in front of you, anything is available. And so it's so easy to get wrapped up into that lifestyle. I think a lot of creators definitely might be struggling. It looks like glamorous, but there's a lot of parts of the industry that really are not.
Well, I want to thank both of you, Sapphire and Marie D, for taking us to a place where I think it's important to be to understand the trial that
restraining order against Christian and Kelly.
Mother found brutally murdered.
Now the victim's boyfriend, a married father of 4,
Is charged for the murder of his alleged mistress and her unborn child.
The Pregnant Mistress Murder Trial. Live coverage weekday mornings, only on Court TV.
Saturday nights on Ion.
All right, kids,
It's our
we're
night.
getting
Let's
past
go!
this. Wait.
No, I can't let this okay. You guys, relax. Why? No, God.
Relax. That's Courtney Clenny hitting rock. That is when she's put in handcuffs after stabbing Christian Sally or knife. We'll see. Jury says during the trial. We'll see if it was self-defense. We'll see if it. She started out. She was a fitness model and social media influencer. So I want to take you on a journey right now, as we take a look at Courtney Clenny through the years, starting back in 2016 up until 2022, when she, as we just saw, finally arrested. And this time for killing Christian Sally, and the journey of Courtney Clenny on social media.
Happy Valentine's Day. Otherwise, ooh. It's a vibe, yeah. I wrote raps better than that. It's a vibe. Stop with that.
What's up, you guys? My name is Courtney Taylor, and I'm about 8 days out from my first show at the NPC West Coast Classic. And today we're going to hit some back and bites. So
I agree.
Let's get started. So I grew up in Austin, Texas, and growing up, I was in every sport under the sun. I was in competitive diving, horseback riding, gymnastics, soccer, basketball, volleyball, everything.
Do you support the police? I've actually, yes, I do. I think a lot of times, for sure, in my experience, I've not been helped by them. No, I can't.
Okay, so back to this. She wasn't helped by the police because she was the problem. They were arresting her because she was abusive. From all accounts, from every single account, she was the abuser in the relationship. People always want to say guys are the abusers and women get it, and that is true. But there are women abusers, and she was one of them. Point blank.
Please. Relax. Sit down. Okay. Sit down. Just let me. Sit down. Okay. Do me a favor. Sit down. Do not move. What's going on? We don't know what. I'm terrified. So, right now, yeah, don't worry. They're helping.
In our investigation. What happened to Courtney Clenny? Just looking at this before and after, what happened to this young woman? Here to help with our investigation, psychotherapist, CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Jenny Lacey, and clinical and forensic psychologist and body language expert, Dr. John Paul Garrison. What happened to Courtney Clenny?
Well, Benny, when I think about what happened to Courtney, I think about how we just saw in the video stream of how she started. When you think about someone that they can often mask what's really underneath them. And what really would come out is exactly what happened. When you achieve those goals, when you're mental, what's the documentation around that? And then we also understand that domestic violence is fundamentally about power and control. It's not necessarily about anger management or passion or crimes of passion, that the way that sometimes these cases are often portrayed. There's systematic patterns of behavior that I would be looking at when I look at Courtney's life that was designed to dominate, to control, to get on top, right? In her own level of seeing herself the way that she was seeing herself. So I would analyze, and we have enough evidence to show the timeline of the relationship, not just the final incident. So, and even including her medical records and police reports and witness statements. All of those things will help us understand what happened to Courtney from how she started to how she ended. But I would summarize that to say that when I'm looking in the end with domestic violence situations.
But this is what happens, right? Abusers are a front-facing one person, and then at home, they're monsters. And abusers can be both women and men. She was an abuser. She was a weightlifter prior to being an OnlyFans model. And when you get that much power and you exert all of that power over to the person that you are the closest to, which would have been her boyfriend, everything turned really bad for everybody, right? Like she's the best fucking knife thrower in America, right? Like she abused him multiple times, is recorded. She's been arrested for it in the past, but her front-facing personality had nothing to do with who she really was at home.
The pattern of abuse that happens over time.
Dr. J, I listened to her in those, riding horses out in Texas, going into fitness competitions, all that stuff seemed so positive. And then $1,000 a month apartment down in Miami, covered in blood, her boyfriend with a knife in him. What happened here? What happened to Courtney Clenny?
Well, there's a couple of aspects of this that you have to really consider. One being that substances can always play a role in this. So we don't know if there were any underlying mental illness. If there weren't, and she really got substances that can dramatically present how they think. And the other part you have to consider is how intoxicating it is to get that much money that quickly. We see people that do dancing and things like that get money too quickly. They get themselves into trouble, drugs and other things. This very much
Bad. I mean, the real tragedy here, obviously, is Christian Obumseli, who lost his life, but at her hands, and what was going on in this relationship. Okay, Dr. Jenny Lacey, Dr. John Paul Garrison, staying with us. Up next, who is the victim? Courtney or Christian? I'm Vinny Politan. We continue our investigation of the OnlyFans murder trial involving two young people caught in a volatile relationship, much like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, except this relationship ended with a homicide. Here's the story. Courtney Clenny, widely known as a social media influencer and OnlyFans model, earned staggering amounts of money from her online persona, reportedly more than $3 million in just 2 years. With that wealth came a life of luxury in Miami, where she lived with her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli. To outsiders, their relationship seemed glamorous, but behind closed doors, it was volatile. marked by heated arguments, public altercations, and troubling reports of domestic violence. Friends of Obumseli described him as charismatic
You're right,
and
Chris.
driven, though often overwhelmed by the storm of their romance. Police were called to their apartment multiple times, neighbors recalling fights that spilled into the hallways. Then in April of 2022, their relationship ended in tragedy when Christian was fatally stabbed in their high-rise home. Courtney claimed self-defense while prosecutors accused her of escalating violence, turning a life fueled by money, fame, and desire into one defined by loss and controversy.
Self-defense is the defense here.
I did.
That's clear where the defense is going to go here and what this trial is going to be about. They're not going to say it didn't happen. They're going to say it happened, but she was defending herself. And I think one thing that the defense may lean on is what happened the day before the stabbing. Police were called to the apartment. Courtney Clenny is speaking with officers in the lobby. I want to show you exactly what happened and what the conversation was about, because in this conversation, Courtney Clenny is talking about wanting to get a restraining order against Christian. Take a look.
Yes, okay. Time out. Let me talk. Okay.
I feel very
What's your name? Courtney? Okay. Courtney.
Why do you have something against me, man? I'm just trying to
Who had me against you? So you just want to be here in the property?
That is totally fine.
Okay. So then sign him so he can leave and you get back to your apartment. What else?
I was gonna get a chance to speak.
Go ahead. Okay. That's your turn.
Are you gonna listen?
Go ahead. So what do you want?
I just want to be exonerated, I guess. And I want a restraining order against Christian Obumseli. No, I'm serious. Can I do that? How can I make myself first? Because I know him and he would do it. How can I make myself first?
175 Northwest First Highway. 175 Northwest.
Is he already on the way?
Why do we know? We don't even know who he is. How do we know that?
So your question is,
have you been drinking today? Have you any medications today? Or
listen.
My dad.
Well, let me stick with your dialogue or you can I'm not going to restrain order against it. I answer you, we don't issue those. That's through court. You asked me. I need to get one beforehand. I told you, the only way is for you to get to court. Then you ask me, is the only way already? I ask you, I don't even know how he looks like. You understand? It's your questions that are making much of an I am. Right now, I am not always a victim, but right now. Where's it? Does he have property in the apartment with you? A lot of property, you said. Has he been with you here for about 2 months? Right? Let me know something, please. That person lives in that apartment with you. Okay, we cannot trespass anybody that lives in this place.
I feel like I am.
All right. So what do you want to say?
I want to be like great, and I want him. Okay, the police are here. I want a restraining order against Christian Obumseli.
I don't issue those.
No, I'm serious.
Courts.
Can I do that? Where
you have to go to court. You have to go to downtown.
How can I make myself first? Because I know him, and he would do it.
It's your questions that are making much of an effort.
I am. Right now, I have not always been a victim, but right now, I'm a victim in a situation. My dog just walked in, and I told him, "You don't have a chance." And now, all of a sudden, this is all happening.
What's his name?
Christian Tobecha Obumseli. I'm scared. I'm scared.
He has blood.
Would it be okay if we outside my home?
And again, this is a day before she stabs Christian Obumseli and he dies. Is it self-defense? Is it murder? That's the question for the jury. I've got a question for our investigation. Who is the victim here? Courtney
I'm sorry, Rosie.
Christian? Who's the victim in this back and forth? Let's bring in our guests who are going to help answer that question. We've got with us former Judge Tarlika Nunez Navarro. She's also Dean of St. Thomas University College of Law, and still with us is psychotherapist and CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacey. All right, Tarlika, I'll begin with you. How do you see this situation? I mean, the day before, talking about restraining order, and then she's arrested for putting it.
Well, on, but you know, the answer always is it depends. You know, in the law, it depends, and here we have to really focus on the timeline. Yes, 48 hours prior to, she's asking for a restraining order, but sometimes the law is clear. It's not so black and white. There is a gray area. The prosecutors, if they're doing their job, really need to focus on the day in question. This day is on Courtney's body at the time, and she was 10 feet away. So she says she threw the knife, but the stab wounds are not consistent with the narration. It's easy to see that that day, it was clearly Christian was the victim. However, 48 hours prior to, she could have been the victim. And the time in domestic violence court, I sat as a judge for years there, and we see sometimes, you know, we say giraffes attract giraffes. Sometimes we can have two victims. So like I said, it depends, but they really need to focus on the law here, and emphasizing that this is whether or not she is in reasonable fear of her life at that. She was 10 feet away. Did she use deadly force?
Dr. Janie Lacey, I could open a letter. I've written a letter. This is from the Independent via the Miami-Dade prosecutor's office. And if we take a look at that letter, some of the things that he says in this letter, he calls her sweet, says he would never trade her for anything. He wants to be your boyfriend, your best friend, lifelong partner. He would put his life on the line for her. I truly love you. I truly believe you are the one God set aside for me. So that's what he was writing to her.
I'm going to stop this right here because I don't know about you guys, but I have been I've been in abusive relationships in my past. And when they're abusive, it doesn't mean that you don't have that connection, that trauma bond to a person. So for him to write something like that isn't out of the box, doesn't mean that he was not a victim of her. It's almost like he's trying to convince her, like, please stop hurting me, right? It's almost like, I love you. God sent you to me. And that is normal for abusive relationships, for them to believe in some way that they are in love, but it's a trauma bond, it's abusive bond, and it's codependency. It's all of those things. So writing that letter to her is not outside the box of a narcissistic, preying, abusive relationship. So I just want to put that out there, that even though he's writing this, I can understand why there was that love-hate relationship. right? So it has to be in context of, it's not because he wasn't being abused, or maybe she was being abused too. That is normal in an abusive relationship. I wanted to put that out there.
How do you see this relationship? Who's the victim?
You know, Vinny, when I was listening to the police recording that you had shared, it was interesting when she said that she wanted to file a restraining order and she wanted to be first because she knows him and that he was probably assuming her statement was probably going to be filing a restraining order. So in these cases, what we would be assessing for is a primary aggressor versus someone who's more in the reactive position, because in these domestic violence situations, we know that the actual physical act is often led by, you know, I would call it a runway. Sometimes there's financial control. For looking in this situation, I would assume there could have been some of that isolation, you know, emotional abuse. So sometimes the other partner's reaction is sometimes typically a defense or reaction to that. And that's very different than what we would call mutual abuse, where both parties might initiate violence more equally in the relationship, because the functions and the patterns are completely different. So when I'm looking at this particular situation, I'm wondering if there's some trauma responses that can also appear as you read the letter that's counterintuitive to what people who we would think have experienced chronic abuse victims might defend their publicly, and they might minimize some of these incidences, and they even may appear calm when they're talking about discussing some of the things that have happened. And these, in our perspective, are completely normal trauma responses, because association that's very common. And it's the mind's way of protecting itself when events are overwhelming, especially with someone that you love. And victims can be really genuine and not remember all the details because of the turmoil of the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tarlika, how relevant is the history here? What happened?
Going to bring in the 48-hour tape, like I said, but if the prosecutor's doing the job that they need to do, then they need to bring in the prior arrest that happened in Vegas, where she allegedly threw a glass at him and was arrested. You also have the text messages from
look at her.
Christian
Look at
saying
her.
that he was a victim of domestic violence, that he was going to be treated at the hospital, and say it was a football injury, and where he's detailing that he has been hit before. And then you see the elevator incident, like the doctor mentioned. This is a runway and a history of abuse, and it is a pattern. So of course the timeline is relevant. It's how the state and the defense play up the timeline that really will make the difference here and make the call with the jury.
Dr. Janie Lacey, thank you so much. Tarlika is going to stay with us. Still to come. Let's talk about that timeline. What does the timeline of that day reveal?
Baby, wake up. Wake up. What? Courtney.
Just keep running up.
Courtney, listen to me. No. Get up, come on.
8.5 months pregnant, a young mother found brutally murdered.
Christian Obumseli. I want to go through a timeline of what's happening just before that arrest, so we get a better idea of the mindset and the actions of Courtney and Christian. We begin at 4:01 p.m. Courtney called Christian, then she goes live on Instagram. So what I want to do for you is play for you a piece of what she is saying on her Instagram at 4:01. Again, this is, just moments before everything happens. Take a listen.
Do you support the police? I've actually, no. Yes, I do. I do. I think a lot of times they don't do their job. For sure. In my experience, I've not been helped by them.
Okay, let's move ahead now. We get back to the timeline. So 4:01, she called Christian, then did that Instagram live. At the end of the Instagram live, she calls him again. Then at 4:33, Christian walks into the apartment. 4:43, Courtney Clenny calls her mother. That call lasted until 4:49, just over 6 minutes. Then at 4:49, she made a second call to her mother. They spoke until 4:56, a little over 7 minutes. At 4:57, Courtney Clenny calls 911.
Right.
It appears to me that the stabbing takes place and her mother may still be on the line. 5:04, 57 seconds. Police officers exit the elevator at the unit. Let's take a look.
Me too, honey.
We might have a dead body upstairs.
Okay. We'll follow you. We'll follow you. Anybody up there? You were up there?
Yeah, security's there with 2 residents. Police has came 5 times. She wanted to commit suicide 5 different times. They were punching each other 5 different times. And until this day, this bad. She's unconscious, full of blood. I have the pictures here. We're here. Right here. Police are here. Police are here. Hey, come on. Come in. Get up. You leave. Get up. Get up right now. Baby, wake up. Wake up. What's your Courtney? Courtney. Just keep running up. Courtney, listen to me. Get up. Get up. Come on. No. I can't let this. Okay.
Chaos there at the end. And you can see, you get some information about what was happening that day from the man who works in the building and all this chaotic behavior in this tumultuous relationship. All right, so we took a look at the timeline, brings us to the next question in our investigation about that timeline. What does the timeline reveal here? What does it tell us about the moments leading up to this fatal stabbing? Here to help with our investigation, former judge Tarlika Nunez Navarro, and still with us, clinical and forensic psychologist, body language expert, Dr. John Paul Garrison. All right, Dr. G, your thoughts about what we just saw and heard. She's posting on Instagram. That seems like a normal day, making the calls, and then we go 0 to 100, I guess, at some point.
If you,
I'm gonna stop this before we get into Dr. G. This is typical behavior of abusive people, right? I've known people that their abuser puts restraining orders on them and makes their life absolutely fucking miserable because they're trying to leave or they're being abused. This man, when the cops came before he got stabbed, she made him sleep in the fucking hallway near the elevators for 2 days and didn't let him in. Do you want to know why? Because he wouldn't put his location on so that she could see where he was. If that is not abusive behavior, I don't know what is. And for anyone to make her out to be a victim is disingenuous. I just need to say that.
go back and look at what she did in that elevator, we see that she is explosive. She can turn on a dime. So the timeline, I think, can change very quickly with somebody like that. She seems like her anger could really go from pretty normal to rage pretty quickly. So I'm not surprised that it might have been a very short amount of time that she went from acting pretty normal to potentially stabbing Christian.
All right, Tarlika, looking at what's going on, it seems to be relatively normal day, I guess, in the life that she's living. She goes on Instagram. She's calling Christian. She's calling Christian. He gets there. She's talking to her mom at the same time. Seems to me mom might be an important witness in all of this.
Absolutely. And it's even questionable whether or not between the 456 and the 449 and the 456, did she stab him and then call mom for help? Because there's two calls to mom.
That's
so that's
she
certainly
did.
something that I'm thinking of as a former judge and prosecutor. Did she call mom for help? Clearly, she called him several times and did not get him. She was upset. He walks in the door, encounter ensues. And when one is called, she is saying, I'm sorry. She's not saying he tried to kill me, he was choking me, I'm a victim, none of that. It was, I'm sorry. So I would say that she potentially could have called mom to ask for help.
How sad is
Dr. G,
this?
how about, to me, that's another significant moment here, right? In the middle of whatever is going on between these two, she's making millions of dollars, but she's young. She's an adult, but a young adult, lots of money, but in the middle of this very toxic relationship and a toxic moment, obviously. And she's calling mom.
It seemed like she was legitimately confused when the police were there. And so I think that the trauma that anybody experiences when they have stabbed somebody else, because I don't think this was premeditated. I think that she's just exceptionally chaotic. And so I do think that she was probably struggling a little bit herself with her own reality at that point. So calling her mom, just trying to ground herself, figuring out what do I do? So I think she knew what she had done, but the whole situation probably was very overwhelming, very confusing. And I would guess that even her probably had a hard time following what was going on the other end because she's so chaotic.
Let me ask you, Tarlika, this is a self-defense defense. 9 times out of 10, maybe 19 out of 20, self-defense, the defendant testifies. Do you think it's going to happen here?
She's going to have to testify, Vinny. If she wants to prove to the jury that she was in reasonable fear of her life, they are going to have to put her on the stand. And I don't know how well she's going to do based on that 911 tape that we've heard, based on the tape that we saw in 48 hours prior to the death, her 100%. Presentation. It's going to be a challenge, an uphill battle for her to prove that she was in fear of her life on that day.
Dr. G, what do you think it'll be like for her to take the witness stand? This is someone who is used to attention. It's a different type of attention. It's in front of a camera. Your life isn't on the line, but what are your thoughts about her as a witness?
I think she could potentially have a very difficult time with any attorney that is frustrating her. If we saw her with the police when she was asking for help, she was getting very frustrated with them. And they weren't even really doing anything. So as someone who seems to need a lot of control, I could see that being a situation where she could decompensate, as we say. She could become very difficult and potentially maybe even explosive. Maybe that's overstating it, but I could see it being very difficult for her.
John Paul Garrison, Dr. G on YouTube. Great to have you on the program. Always great insight. Tarlika Nunez Navarro, your experience is amazing, and we appreciate you being on tonight. You know, this upcoming trial, it's a murder case, but it's really going to be about the relationship between Courtney and Christian. That's why the history of the violence between these two is vital to understanding what happened on the day Christian died. The question is, how much of that prior history will the jury get to see? I'm Vinny Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.
All right, homies. I think that's it for today. It's 12 o'clock and it's Sunday, and I'm so happy that all of you guys joined me today. You guys are the best, and I love each and every one of you. I love all your opinions. All opinions are welcome here. We have a good time, and we just kind of like dissect these cases because they're so mind-blowing. And for me, I love the psychology of it all. Right. I love speculating. I know that there are other channels that are like, we shouldn't speculate. We should. I speculate, bitch. I love speculating. I hope to see you all next Sunday. I may do Scientology. And so I would love for all of you to come and join me and dissect Scientology because it is fascinating. It is so crazy. I've been following Scientology for years. And so we can all come together and talk about it and dissect it and do all of the things. And if you could all like and subscribe, make sure you're subscribed because YouTube kind of does funny shit and like unsubscribes people and like all of this stuff. And I love doing this new platform with Unsolved with Amy. And all of you guys come here. And I love the interactions. And I love interacting with each and every one of you. You guys have my heart. And I love doing this channel. And I love having all of you a part of it. So if you'd like to come back next Sunday at 10 o'clock a.m., get a cup of coffee, and we will talk about Scientology. Hopefully I don't get like cease and desist, but it'll be interesting. I love all of you, and I hope to see you next Sunday. Bye, guys.